We have got a great show for you today. We're going to have a wood refinishing expert up in the loft, and he's going to show us how to take a piece of furniture that looks like this and make it look like this. He's also going to show us how you can dress up a piece of unfinished furniture. Hi there, I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to Ask This Old House. So you know the drill. You've got a problem with your house, send us a letter or an email because we have the experts with the solutions. Hey, Richard.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, what's wrong?
You know what? I don't know what it is. I just think I'm a little tense.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not your problem. Your problem is you're too tense. Hey, Roger.
Kevin, I'm going to use these to show a homeowner how to protect their plants for the winter.
All right, well, that sounds like a good one. And I know Tommy received a letter about a broken window, and that set us off on an investigation.
Well, this project took a little bit of detective work by me and the homeowner. Seems about 12 or 15 years ago, all of the windows in this house were replaced with vinyl double-hung windows, and they all have the same problem. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Tom. Here's the problem. I've got 18 replacement windows in my house.
Yep.
2 sash locks each. Windows work well. All the sash locks break off.
All of the sash locks
All
break
of
off?
them.
Well, I've seen 1 or 2 sash locks break on a window, but never all of them at the same time. It's pretty unusual.
It's very frustrating.
Well, the sash lock is important for a couple of reasons. Number 1, for security, and number 2, for energy efficiency. When you lock that sash lock, it actually pushes the bottom sash down and the top sash up, and also pulls the 2 sash together, tightening up the meeting rail. So when you have a problem with one of these windows, somewhere on the window, maybe on the jamb or on the edge of the sash, there may be a sticker that tells you who made the window. From there, you can check the manufacturer. If they still have the sash and the sash lock, then you can get them.
Yeah, that was another frustrating part. There's absolutely no identifying marks on these windows anywhere.
All right, so what I then had you do is draw a picture of the sash lock with all of the dimensions that match up with this. You also took a couple of photographs of your sash locks, and we sent this information off to a company that specializes in window replacement hardware. Well, guess what? They sent me some sash locks. Let's see how they fit.
Great.
All right, Jim, let me show you what I have here. Now, here is a sash lock. It comes in 2 pieces. One part is the locking mechanism, all right? And the other part is called the keeper. Now, when you put the 2 together, obviously, they're locked and you can't open the window, all right? Now, they look like a pretty good match with yours, all right? Now, one of the hard parts about this particular sash lock was this little detail right here. This is called a rabbet. And it's meant to fit over the profile of the top of the window here. Let's try it. It fits pretty good. Now what we want to do is remove the old sash lock.
How do we get them off?
Well, they're not screwed on there. They're actually riveted on. So I want to get my drill, and we'll drill the rivets out.
Okay.
Now, it's very important that the drill bit size is the exact same size as the rivet. Now, what I want to do is center my drill right in the center of the rivet, and I want to drill down. I got to be very careful here. I want to make sure I drill out the rivet, but I don't want to go too deep and damage or hit the glass, because I could break the glass and damage the seal between the insulated panels. There's one. There it is. Now I grab my pop rivet gun and I slide a rivet into the end. Take it and place it over the hole. Push down with the rivet gun and squeeze. Okay, that's the first rivet. Now let me show you how a rivet actually works. It's made of 2 pieces, a cylinder that rides on this shaft right here. At the end of the shaft is like a finish nail, a head that's bigger than the inside of the cylinder. When I put it in my pop rivet gun, the pop rivet gun wants to pull the shaft through the cylinder. The head's too big to go through the cylinder, so it mushrooms out the bottom of the cylinder, and that's what holds the rivet into position. Now let me show you with a scrap piece of wood. Hold that for me, Jim. I'm going to take the rivet and put it in my rivet gun. Now I push it through the hole, and I hold the rivet against the board. Now I'm going to squeeze the rivet gun. The head of the shaft mushrooms the cylinder. All right, it popped off. Now you have the rivet, top and bottom, and there's the mushroom. All right, now we're ready to install the second rivet. You want to give it a try?
Sure.
Push down tight. Keep pressure on the rivet gun, that's right. Push down, try to keep the rivet gun straight. Keep it up there. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Let's see how it locks. Oh, lock works good. All right, so now we're on to the next one. go. All right, this window is locked. That's pretty tight. That was pretty easy.
I think the hottest part was finding the locks.
I think you're right. Well, there's one window, 17 more to go. Do you think you can handle it?
Piece of cake, Tom. Thanks for all your help.
My pleasure.
Are you surprised that there was no way to identify that window?
None of those windows had an identifying mark on them. But this is the kind of sticker that I was looking for on the sash here.
All right.
But there's a lot of window and door hardware companies that have a variety of different pieces and parts that you will need for any door or any window.
Quite a wide variety, so not just the locks that we ordered.
No. Here's a spring balancing system right here that goes on the side of the window to help you pick it up and down. Also, spiral balancing systems right here.
Right down to the cranks that you see on the interior.
Right, that's for an awning window. This is for a casement window. And look, here's a roller for a sliding glass door.
Okay, so it looks like a specialty item. How much did our locks cost?
Well, those are around $2.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, well, not much money. Maybe a big difference for that homeowner.
It sure did.
Thanks, Tom. You can spend a lot of money on furniture, but you don't have to. There are a couple cost-effective alternatives out there, and one of them is buy yourself a piece of unfinished furniture. It could be of a perfectly good build quality, but without the stain and finish on there, it's going to require a little bit of your time to dress it up. It's also going to give you the ability to customize this piece for your own house. Another alternative is to buy used furniture. You can get a piece like this at a garage sale, and it may not look that good, but that doesn't mean that it can't. It might be something that could get dressed up and look as pretty as this right here. So to give us some tips on how to dress up used furniture and also how to finish off the unfinished furniture, we have called in our wood finishing expert, Bruce Johnson. Bruce, good morning.
Kevin, hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank
Good,
you.
good.
So what do you say we start with unfinished furniture and the
Right.
steps to take that bare wood to a beautiful finish?
And it's a great way to do it because unfinished furniture is inexpensive, but as you pointed out, well made. But you know, it needs usually some help to make it sort of pop,
Sure.
get the grain looking good.
Well, let's talk about the steps. We've got ourselves an oak table here,
Right,
unfinished,
right.
that we picked up from a store.
Yeah. Great look on this table. I like the fact that it's oak. Oak is a wood that's very predictable. But, you know, with all woods, you want to start by doing a little bit of light sanding first.
Gotcha.
We just want to, get rid of some of the blemishes. We're going to use a medium sandpaper here. This will be about a 150 grit.
Gotcha.
Because it's been sanded in the factory. But there's always going to be a few little nicks and scratches. And we want to open up the pores. We want to make sure that the pores are going to be receptive to whatever we put on here, whether it be the wood conditioner first and then putting the stain on as well. So we want to open up the pores. I want to get that nice and smooth.
So this is just a light sanding,
Yep.
and you're doing it by hand, so no mechanical sanders?
Yeah, I don't want to use a belt sander because for all we know, this might be a thin layer of veneer. We don't want to sand through it. And also, this just gives you more control over it. You know, belt sanders can do a lot of damage if you're not careful about how to use them.
And once the light sand is complete and those pores are opened up, where do we go from here?
Well, now we got to get the dust off of there, Kevin, because dust is going to be the enemy of a smooth finish. So use a tack cloth, cheesecloth made sticky with a little bit of varnish, and we just rub it across, and we're just wiping up the dust, getting it out of the pores of the wood so that it won't get mixed in with our stain or our finish.
And just a regular cloth is really not going to do this for us. You want to
Not
have
as well.
something tacky.
You can, but either that or even a vacuum will work well. A vacuum attachment on your shop vac will actually take it off well too, but I always like keeping the tack cloths around. Okay, we've got all of our dust off of there. Now we're ready to put on the conditioner.
Okay, so this is not a color and this is not a finish.
No, this is a thin sealer that we put on before we stain. And the purpose of this is to make sure that our stain is going to be absorbed evenly. So we brush this on, and you want to put on a very liberal coat.
You've got yourself a conditioner here. This is oak.
Right.
Would you use it on all woods, hard and soft?
I do. I think it's a great way to ensure that your stain is going to soak in evenly. You can put this on either with a bristle brush or a foam brush. It doesn't really matter. I always brush it on in the direction of the grain of the wood, and the wood's going to soak it all in because it's nice, dry, and porous.
Boy, you can see that the wood is already starting to suck it in. It's even starting to dry in some spots.
Yeah. Yep, that's what we want to see. And Kevin, I like to make sure it gets about 15 minutes before we put on the stain. We want to make sure that wood conditioner is dry.
Okay.
And we're going to use an oil-based penetrating stain. And we always want to make sure we stir this up thoroughly because
No shaking.
No shaking. We don't want bubbles. We want to get all the pigments up off the bottom so they're evenly dispersed so we get uniform, consistent color. Now we're ready to put it on.
Gotcha.
Now, I'm going to use a rag here, and we'll start applying right here close to you. And notice I'm going to put it on in a circular motion. I want to force that stain down into the pores of the wood. Working it in with our rag. And we want to make sure we're putting on plenty of stain here because anything that the wood doesn't soak in, we'll wipe it off when we're done.
Okay. And you're using a rag here. Could you start off with a brush?
Absolutely. Doesn't make any difference whether we put it on with a rag, a brush, foam brush, bristle brush.
And so how do you control color in terms of darkness and lightness?
You know, that's the great thing about putting on a stain this way, Kevin, is that you do get to determine the final color. If you want a light version of any color, you wipe it off almost immediately. If you want a darker color, you can leave it on for 5, with oil-based, up to 10 minutes. But now I want to wipe off all that extra stain, and good idea to lay those rags out flat or put them in some water. That way they will never self-ignite.
Which an oil rag can do.
Can do. And then we're going to take a clean rag, wipe off all the excess stain, and I'm wiping in the direction of the grain of the wood to make sure we don't have any of our rag marks left on there and no extra stain. I like to give that stain about 6 to 8 hours to completely dry before we put on our finish. Now, I've got a section of oak flooring up here. Same wood, same stain on it. This is completely dry.
Gotcha.
Now we're ready for a finish because the stain gives us color, but not enough protection.
There are a lot of clear finishes out there. Do you have a preference?
Yes, I certainly do like the polyurethane.
And why is that?
It gives us a great durability. It's going to have resistance against heat and water, alcohol as well, easy to apply, and dries relatively fast.
Gotcha.
And once I get the polyurethane on there, Kevin, I like some nice long strokes to even it all out, to make sure I'm not going to have any bubbles, any brush marks, that sort of thing, to give us a nice smooth finish. You notice I'm putting on thin coat here this first time out. I like to put on several thin coats. They're actually stronger and more durable than if I laid down one heavy coat of polyurethane. And once I've laid down that polyurethane, I like to take just the tips of the bristles and run it along. It's called tipping off. And it's a nice way to make sure that you've got a smooth finish, no bubbles, no runs or drips. And there's actually an easier way to do this, Kevin. You can use a wipe-on version of polyurethane. It's been thinned down with mineral spirits, so it absorbs deeper into the pores of the wood.
Does it give you a different look?
It does. This is going to dry down inside the pores, whereas the polyurethane we put on with the brush lays on top of the wood. So it's a more natural, hand-rubbed effect that looks great on antiques and on pieces of furniture as well.
So that's how we make a new piece of wood look good. How do we take an old piece of furniture like this one and make it look good?
Well, first thing you always want to do is to clean it, because many times we've got a good finish underneath, but we just got years and years of dirt and grime on top of it.
What are you using as a cleaner?
I'm using a wood cleaner. It's a commercial product, because what I found is you don't want to use any homemade remedies that might actually take the finish off the wood.
So no vinegar, no ammonias?
Absolutely not. No, make sure it's a wood cleaner. It's not going to dissolve any of the old finish. And as you can see underneath here, we've got some great wood.
Well, that is pretty good looking. So what do we have to do to that?
Yeah. Well, that's got a good finish on it. All I would do is go back with a satin version of the wipe-on poly that we put on earlier, and it'll give it more protection.
And was this piece in this condition?
Look just like this.
Wow, that's great.
Yep.
Now, what if the finish underneath all that dirt isn't so good?
Well, this is the case we've got right here on this checkerboard. And as you can see, it's got an old shellac and lacquer finish, all bubbled up. We're going to have to take part of that off.
So how do we know what finish it is that we have to take off?
Well, the great thing is we don't have to know. We're going to use an antique furniture refinisher, which is a blend of solvents, denatured alcohol, mineral spirits, lacquer thinner, that are going to slowly dissolve whatever old finish happens to be on here. And I'm going to use a pad of steel wool and work this across. And you always want to work in just a small area at a time, because this is going to dissolve it and evaporate at the same time. Follow with a rag, and you can see we're taking off just that top layer of old finish.
It really is starting to look nice. Now, do we have to protect this with a finish?
Yeah, I want to put on a satin wipe-on poly, just like we put on our end table over there. Makes it water resistant.
Yeah, all right. Some great tips and some really beautiful furniture. Thank you, Bruce.
You're welcome.
This is a very old house. It was made in 1887. It has a Victorian charm that I really enjoy. Over here on the side of my house, I have a slate roof, and the snow comes pitching off and hits down onto my shrubs. And it breaks branches on the hydrometer and on the rhododendron here. You can see how silly and grotesque these branches are from all the beating they've taken from the past winters. There's a chill in the air, winter's coming. Roger, can you help protect my bushes this year?
Well, it's pretty simple what we're going to do today. We're going to cover your plants. And this is one of the things we're going to use. It's an A-frame, and it's made out of plywood and 2x4s, and it has a carriage bolt so that it'll move in and out. What we're going to do is we're going to put it right over the plant to break that snow that's coming down. But before we put it on, I want to tie up the plant and make it a little more compact. All right, Nancy, just take that and go right around the andrometer. Tuck it right in here. Go ahead.
All right.
Keep going. Good. Meet me in the back.
See, you can see the middle here has been broken out by the snow that's blasted through.
Well, we'll see if we can keep that from happening again. Push on that front a little bit to me. That's pretty good. Now we can put the A-frame on. All right, let's just take and tip this down towards the driveway. Left hand there, right hand on the bottom. Lift up. And just stand it right up now. Just tip it right up. How's that look?
Looks pretty good.
All right, I'm just going to level it up a little bit, and then we'll put some cleats in to hold it in the ground. Now what I'm going to do is drive in some cleats. This is a piece of an old decking I took apart that I put points on. I'm just going to take and drive it in and screw it to the leg. This will help keep the A-frame from tipping over under a heavy snow load. Good. This rhododendron is a pretty good sized plant, and if we build an A-frame over this, it would be huge and stand out like a sore thumb. So I have a little different solution for this, but first we have to tie it up. All right, this is what we're going to cover your big rhodie with. This is actually a plant tent. Now let's take and open it up. All right, it has steel rods going up to a point so it should shed the snow, and you can see that the material is actually a mesh. That's going to allow air and moisture to move in and out so the plant won't dry out during the winter. So let's grab it way down low. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. You're going to have to open it up as wide as you can. We'll go right over the top. Okay, let's nestle it right down in. Get it settled right down in. Looks pretty good?
Yep.
Now all we have to do is stake it down. A little bit of an angle. There you go. This is a good time to think about protecting your roses for the winter.
Yes, I'm very proud of these roses. I just planted them in May from tiny little plants, and look at how well they've grown.
Spectacular flowers and still flowering.
Yeah.
Well, it's all going to start with tying them up. So this is just single strand jute. We're going to use this to tie them up as tight as you can without hurting them. Wrap it right around them. You got gloves on, you're in good shape.
Do you want me to make them tighter?
No, that looks pretty good.
Okay.
I'll cut you a piece for that last one. Just 1 second. All right, now what we're going to do is drive these 1 by 1 stakes in the ground so that we can put some burlap to surround your roses. All right, straighten it up. You're really crooked. Back to you. Good, right there. Now what we're going to do is attach burlap to the stakes, and that's going to help keep the wind off the roses. But it's also going to help us down at the bottom of the plant. Now here's the most important part of your rose I want to protect. The flowering part of your rose is actually grafted onto a different rootstock. And that graft union needs to be protected. So with a burlap in place, we're going to fill this with leaves, and that'll insulate it for the winter. So let's get started with the burlap. All right, now I want you to just staple that burlap right to the stake. Start it right there. Push and pull. There you go. About 6 inches apart all the way down. Okay, now I'm going to just bring it around. Just make sure the burlap's at the bottom right there. Good. Start from the top, work your way down. All right, let's drag these right over to the opening. All right. Now what I want you to do is pack these roses with leaves. We're literally going to take handfuls of them and go all the way around. I also want to make sure that we get a bunch of them tucked right into the middle, stuffed in there good so it insulates the plant. Don't be shy with them, we have plenty. Well, that looks pretty good. Let's get it closed up. I'm going to pull the burlap across, and you're just going to staple it off.
Well, there's not much time left in the season. I think I'll snip these and bring them in the house.
Well, they're absolutely beautiful roses, and now they're ready for winter.
Thank you for your help, Roger.
You're welcome. Now, both the burlap and the mesh of the plant tent will help the plants against the winter wind. In the winter, that wind is so dry that when it goes across the plant, it can pull the moisture right out of the leaves, causing browning of the plant or even killing it. But you can't wrap all your plants. In some situations, it's much easier to spray them with an anti-desiccant. Now, this is a wax. It's going to coat the leaves and protect it, not able to pull the water out of the leaves.
So do you have to take this off before springtime?
No, Kevin, this actually breaks down in 4 to 6 weeks. So if you spray mid-December, you have to go back out mid-January and spray again so that you have all winter-long coverage on your plants.
You spray every leaf.
Every leaf.
All right, well, good information, Roger. Thank you. And if you've got a question about your house, we'd love to hear from you. So keep your letters and your emails coming. And until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor.
I'm Richard Theory.
I'm Roger Cook.
And I'm Tom Silva.
For Ask This Old House.
All right, boys, what's the R value of those leaves you put on? Visit our website, pbs.org, for expert advice, step-by-step videos, and much more.